on BBC iPlayer.
Now on BBC One, the early evening news with Clive Myrie.
Around 100 homes are damaged in Greater Manchester by a mini tornado as Storm Gerrit hits the UK. A major incident was declared in Tameside after roofs were torn off homes and walls collapsed.
People left homeless in Millbrook are asking how could something so sudden cause so much devastation?
Reports of a fire at the top of Blackpool Tower, but all's not as it seems. And inside the world's tallest wind turbine that's made of wood, producing renewable energy, just got greener. Hello there. Around 100 homes have been damaged by a mini tornado which ripped through part of Greater Manchester when Storm Gerrit blew in overnight. Police declared a major incident in Tameside after roofs were torn off homes, trees were blown down and walls collapsed. There were no reports of any injuries. Areas surrounding Stalybridge were the worst affected, including the village of Millbrook. Meanwhile, in Scotland, storm damage has left thousands of homes there without power. We'll have more on that in a moment, but first, Fiona Trott has the latest from Greater Manchester.
The eye of the storm. So strong that some homes couldn't even keep the residents safe.
They'll evacuate us now.
This tree smashed through a roof just metres from where Maisie Pilkington slept.
If you was to get a wrecking ball and go through a house, it was like, because I opened the door and I thought, oh my God.
In daylight, the damage was clearer to see. Metal and glass not strong enough, lead not heavy enough to withstand the force of this tornado on her street.
What seems to have happened is the trees hit the roof, gone through my bathroom, so the whole roof and ceiling of my bathroom is down. The tree's in the bathroom. The whole tree is being held up by one branch and it's starting to snap currently, I've been told. So if it does snap, it's going to go through the whole house.
It wasn't just Maisie's street. Look at the devastation in other parts of Stalybridge. Their homes and their lives have been ripped apart. This was the village of Carbrook.
And we were so scared, we didn't know what to do. And I don't know who phoned the police, ambulance, fire brigades, everybody were around.
And tonight, hundreds of residents still have questions that can't be answered.
Can I go back home? When can I go back home? And is my house safe? So we're trying to get that moving that as quickly as possible. But the amount that it's damage it's done to the amount of properties, you know, we haven't got the resources just yet to get that done very quickly. So we've gone out to get support.
What people here are still coming to terms with is how so much devastation was caused by something that lasted less than a minute.
Tornadoes can be massively damaging. You can see winds in excess of 100 miles an hour concentrated on a very small area. That is enough to bring down parts of houses, trees, cause massive amounts of damage.
And clearing up that damage will take some time. A rare and devastating event is bringing these communities together. What's striking is how sudden this was, but also how random this was, how one roof could be completely ripped off and another stay intact. That was the path of the volcano. But even those who have been worst affected are telling us they do feel lucky tonight. They're saying that repairs and replacements are an inconvenience compared to how things could have turned out here today. Meanwhile, we have some breaking news from North Yorkshire Police this evening. They're telling us that 3 men have died after a 4x4 vehicle was recovered from the River Esk near Glaisdale. It's believed to be weather related, so clearly this storm is still having a devastating effect, Clive.
Indeed. OK, Fiona, thank you. Fiona Trott there live in Millbrook in Greater Manchester. Well, around 3,000 homes are still without power in Scotland, and motorists and rail passengers continue to face disruption after Storm Gerrit caused landslides and felled trees. The energy company SSEN says customers in the northeast and Shetland are the worst affected, and some homes are unlikely to be reconnected until tomorrow. Here's Chris McLaughlin.
Everything's been turned upside down, really.
A local shop in Cooper, Fife. Storm Gerrit has been and gone. This is what it left.
We don't know where to begin with the clean-up procedure. So I think everything's going to have to be refitted again. Fridges, freezers, the shelving.
I tried to save what I could, but just had no time to react at all.
Homes across the town were affected too. For many, it comes at the worst possible time.
The hardest part this time round as well was watching our 7-year-old try and collect all our Christmas presents, breaking her heart, thinking our Christmas was ruined. She said it's the worst Christmas ever, and it was horrendous.
In the town of Tarland in Aberdeenshire, food trucks for those who've been without power since yesterday afternoon.
I had a pretty poor night. Had the kids and the dogs up at my parents', and nobody really settled well. So
we lit the fire, and we had baked potatoes in the fire, and we played stupid games.
I should have gone home yesterday because I live in Inverurie, so I should have gone home yesterday morning.
In Shetland, the evidence of gusts reaching 83 miles per hour was obvious. It's been here and the northeast that's been worst hit.
We were aware of the weather, but the wind speeds were higher than what was actually forecasted. They were about 10 mile an hour higher, which can actually cause more disruption to the network.
Disruption on the rail network too. Damage to trains and train lines had left routes closed. Many are now back on.
The vast majority of the network is back open for business, but we do expect some disruption into Friday morning. Our advice to passengers is to check before you travel, because unfortunately there is more bad weather on the way.
Not good news as roads that were closed slowly begin to reopen. Flooding and landslides mean some smaller routes still remain impassable. Gerrit is gone, but its effects will be felt in Scotland for some time to come. Chris McLaughlin, BBC News.
Israel is expanding its ground offensive in central Gaza, targeting Palestinian refugee camps, forcing thousands of people to flee. The United Nations estimates 150,000 are on the move. Israel maintains it's trying to protect civilians in its operation to destroy Hamas, the group designated as a terrorist organisation by the UK government. Meanwhile, Egypt has put forward a plan to end the fighting, including more prisoner and hostage exchanges. Shama Khalil has the latest from Jerusalem, and her report contains some distressing images from the very beginning.
Once again, a child tells their story of the war. Nagham's home in Khan Yunis was bombed overnight. We were upstairs, she says. Then we were hit, and I started running. She tries to comfort her sister, but she has no idea that her mother and brother were killed in the strike. Her father Abdullah sits next to the body bags. He's still in shock. This is my son, he says. This morning he asked me for biscuits. I went to buy them. When I came back, I found him and my wife dead. The ground offensive continues to deepen in the southern city of Khan Yunis, where hundreds of thousands have fled from the fighting in northern Gaza. Israel says it's trying to protect civilians during its operation against Hamas fighters. But it said it regretted what it called extensive collateral damage in a strike last weekend. The Hamas-run health ministry says at least 86 people were killed in the strike on Al-Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza. Israel says it used the wrong type of munition. Here in Jerusalem, thousands of teenagers marched towards the Israeli parliament. Chaim and Ahshav, they chanted, alive, now. They want a new deal to return those still in captivity.
The war is not going to end anytime soon. That is the message from the Israeli government. But that only increases the frustration among the young people gathered here, many of them from communities that have been worst affected by the October the 7th attacks. Their message to those in power: bring the hostages back home now.
I'm from Kibbutz Kfar Aza. I was there in the 7th of October, and my people were kidnapped. We want them back.
For me, personally, I really hope that it ends for both sides as quickly as possible. War is horrible on either end of it.
In the agony of war, new life begins. Iman tends to 3 of her quadruplets. One is still in intensive care. There is very little food and not enough formula or diapers. She and her family are sheltering in a UN school after being forced out of their home in the north. Her new babies born into displacement. Shaima Khalil, BBC News, Jerusalem.
A police investigation is continuing in Sheffield after a 46-year-old man died and several others were injured when a car hit a crowd of people outside a house in the Burngreave area. A 23-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder, while a second man, aged 55, has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Both are in custody. Firefighters and police were called to what appeared to be a blaze at Blackpool Tower, but the incident at the resort's iconic landmark turned out to be far less dramatic. Elaine Dunkley is there for us tonight. So, Elaine, what exactly happened?
Well, I think first of all, we need to say there's a huge amount of relief here tonight in Blackpool. And secondly, doesn't the Blackpool Tower look gorgeous? Since 1894, it's welcomed millions of visitors here, this iconic landmark. But just after 3 o'clock today, there were reports, rumours and concern that the middle section of the tower was on fire. Well, we can confirm now that there wasn't a fire. And a spokesperson from Blackpool Tower has said there wasn't a fire, but their emergency implementation kicked in here. Fire services were deployed. But what it was, in fact, was light reflecting off some netting in the midsection of the tower. So there wasn't a fire here, so much relief. But I think it's worth saying it's been an incredibly busy day for emergency services. And from a very bustly Blackpool, it's business as usual.
OK, Elaine, thank you. Elaine Dunkley there in Blackpool. Now, New Year's resolutions will soon be made, the perfect time for the NHS to encourage people to quit smoking. A new campaign features the former footballer David James, with research suggesting teenagers are more than 3 times as likely to smoke if someone they know already lights up. Here's Anissa Kadri.
Literally one cigarette got me addicted for 15 years.
In this campaign, former England goalkeeper David James joins other ex-smokers and health professionals. He says his children are one of the main reasons he stopped smoking.
It's a tough thing to give up, smoking, and I'm not pretending you can just do it without a second thought. And if you get to those tough moments, think about your own health, think about the children, and think about the impact that you're having on them in a positive way by not smoking.
According to the NHS, about 76,000 people in the UK die every year from a smoking-related illness.
It wasn't until I gave up at the age of 30, started training better, not getting out of breath during training sessions, becoming the athlete that I was before I started smoking, that I actually realised that, first of all, smoking wasn't good for me personally.
At the moment, you have to be 18 years old to buy cigarettes. In England, the government says it wants to raise the age people buy them by 1 year every year. But some critics say it could lead to the creation of a black market. It means anyone who's turned 14 this year or is younger than that won't ever be able to legally buy them.
We were able to look at what things made people more likely to start smoking. And what we picked up really strongly was that there was this effect of parents and peers. So if a teenager's parents or their friends smoke, they're 3 or 4 times more likely to start smoking than if that isn't the case.
A large part of this campaign is to deter young people from taking up the habit, and it also warns against vaping unless it's used as a tool to give up cigarettes. Its message is clear that now's the time to quit. Anissa Kadri, BBC News.
I am proof.
Vinyl records are continuing to make a comeback, with UK sales up by nearly 12%. Taylor Swift's album 19 '89 was the best-selling LP, followed by the Rolling Stones' Hackney Diamonds. Despite more than 4/5 of recorded music being consumed via streaming, vinyl sales are now at their highest level since 1990. Wind turbines provide renewable energy, but producing the steel they're made from isn't such an environmentally friendly process. Well, now a wind turbine made of wood has begun supplying energy to the Swedish grid, as Jonah Fisher explains.
Having brought us ABBA, meatballs and flat-pack furniture, from Sweden comes another innovation that just might change the way we generate electricity.
Welcome to the world's tallest wind turbine tower made out of wood.
Currently, almost all of the world's turbines are steel, which is usually made by burning fossil fuels.
Steel is a great material, right? But steel is very heavy. And with this material, we can perform the same task, but with 30% less weight and with more than 100% less carbon emissions.
We're the first journalists invited inside for a closer look. Wind power is already one of the cheapest and cleanest ways to generate electricity. Using wood could make it even greener.
I'm now 105 metres up at the very top of the tower. These blades are like almost all wind turbines made out of fiberglass. The generator that I'm standing on is primarily made of steel. But the company who's built the wooden tower say that by making the tower out of wood, it's storing carbon dioxide. It's carbon negative. And it's that carbon dioxide that's warming our planet.
But this isn't only about being greener. To reach stronger and more consistent winds, turbines need to get even taller. And that means bigger and wider turbine towers. Getting those massive pieces of steel on site by road is already a major headache. And that's where wooden towers just might come in.
There's a huge amount of potential in this.
That's because the towers are modular. At a factory in Gothenburg, more than 100 thin sheets of wood are glued together to make the wall sections. Those modular pieces can then be more easily taken to the turbine site.
We do not bolt our towers or screw them together. We glue them together, right? And wood and glue is a perfect combination.
So is it all just a bit of a gimmick? Well, maybe not. The project is being backed by Vestas, the world's largest installer of wind power. And they told us that using wood could end up solving some of the industry's transport problems in a more environmentally sustainable way. Jonah Fisher, BBC News, in Gothenburg, in Sweden.
Well, it's been a very windy last few days. Let's get the forecast now from Stav Deneos, who's here. Hi there, Stav.
Hi there, Clive. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Yes, we saw the back edge of Storm Gerrit today bring further strong winds, heavy showers, some with thunder and limited sunshine. But tomorrow, I'm hopeful things are looking brighter, more sunshine around. It'll still be quite breezy, not as windy, but there'll still be a few showers around as well in the mix. So here's the pictures we had through this evening overnight. Bands of showers bringing further wet weather to Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some snow on the hills there. The odd shower as well for England and Wales, but some lengthy drier spells here. And the wind's turning a little bit lighter, so a chillier night to come, I think, across the board. Watch out for some ice across northern Scotland where it'll turn pretty cold. Tomorrow then we still have the remnants of Storm Gerrit sitting to the northeast of Scotland. That's going to bring further gales here and heavy showers with some snow. Another band of showers lying through Northern Ireland, Northern England will bring some rain, snow to the high levels and some showers across Wales, central and southern England, but a good deal of sunshine here and across central and southern Scotland, but it will be a cooler day. So not a bad day for tomorrow. However, the weekend we see another deep area of low pressure to bring more rain, strong winds and some hill snow in Scotland. So you really have to stay tuned to the forecast if you are out and about this weekend. Certainly heading north, there it is, a deep area of low pressure. Pushing into western areas on Saturday, northern eastern areas will start dry and bright, but then the wind and rain spreads in here. Not too bad conditions, I think, across the southeast, but turning very much wetter and windier in the north and the west, and increasing amounts of snow across the hills of Scotland, maybe even down to lower levels, as it'll be quite chilly here. Double-figure values in the south, cold in the north. So that's Saturday. This is the pictures we head into Sunday, which of course is New Year's Eve. So windy weather pretty much across the board, particularly across southern Britain, where we'll see gales here, plenty of showers rattling in. The conditions a little bit calmer across Scotland into the latter part of the day, but a chillier day to come, 6 to 10 Celsius. So pretty wild for this weekend as we head into New Year's Day and into the 2nd of January there. You can see we're staying pretty unsettled, further showers at times. You'll notice the temperatures coming down into the early part of January, so it will be turning chilly. But stay tuned to the forecast, Clive.
Indeed. OK, Stav, thank you. Stav Danaeus then. That's it. I'll be back at 10, but the news continues here on BBC One as we join our colleagues for the news where you are. Bye for now.
Hello and welcome to BBC London with me, Frankie McCamley. The family of a man murdered in Woolwich in 2021 have launched an appeal for anyone with any information to come forward following the death of Emmanuel Ogabi. Police are also offering a £20,000 reward. The 26-year-old was stabbed on Sandy Hill Road. Aisha Baksh went to meet his mother.